Today I'm going to be going in depth and breaking down and analyzing the entirety of the 14 minutes of Hogwarts Legacy gameplay that was just shown. So grab some popcorn, grab a blanket, whatever you have to do, because this video is going to be long. The gameplay looked incredible, the environments were beautiful, the combat looked pretty good, and we also got sort of a release date. Okay, so first things first, release date. What was the release date? So basically, it wasn't really a date, it was more a time frame. So basically it said holiday 2022. I'm assuming that means Christmas. So basically December, November. That's it. Those are the months. So either November or December, difference really isn't that big, but that's what we know. But now onto the gameplay itself. Okay, so there are 8 categories that this gameplay reveal went through, and for the sake of the video, I will also be going through those same categories and breaking down what I saw in each category. Now, the categories are Life at Hogwarts, A Dangerous Mystery, Spells and Combat, Talents and Abilities, Potions, Herbology and Beasts, Companions, The Room of Requirements, and Beyond the Castle Walls. Now, there's also a quick segment before they go into the categories, so I'll break that down first. The gameplay reveal starts with a student using the Lumos spell and walking toward Hogwarts, giving us a pretty epic reveal. We then meet some centaurs who say, "What do you think you're doing here, humans?" We then see some sort of troll with some infected looking eyes, and this seems to be Hogsmeade. Some other stuff happens, we see a Graphorn and a dragon, and then the title rolls. And then we get a gorgeous shot of Hogwarts, and another clip of our student just standing there looking at Hogwarts, which honestly I can't get enough. I know the second I get the game, I'm just going to sit there and do that exact same thing. And then we've got this shot right here, which I actually think is a pretty big deal. In the wall, or whatever's going on here, we see this symbol that is in the Hogwarts Legacy logo, and my guess is that this is somehow connected to the secret, ancient power that we possess. And that looks like Gringotts in the background. And then we got a shot where this guy is showing us these sort of windows almost. They almost look like they're looking out onto the Hogwarts grounds. Maybe this is like sharing some sort of backstory or something in the scene. I'm not really quite sure, but it looks pretty cool. And then we get a shot of the main Hogwarts courtyard. And I love the scaling of this because in the 7th movie, they made it way too big, apparently for dramatic purposes. And it just kind of looks stupid. I just didn't like it. And this feels way more cozy. I just love the scaling on this. And then we get another shot of the Great Hall, and there is some sort of winged creature right here. I'm not quite sure what that is, but I thought it was a snitch. That's what I thought it was the first time I saw it, but it's not a snitch. And then this is one of the only looks that we got at character customization. It doesn't look bad, it's just, I guess, I wish we would have gotten more. Like, I would have loved to see the UI and more of the options, but it is what it is. And then we get clips from the Gryffindor dormitories, and then the Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, Slytherin, and Gryffindor common rooms. Obviously, Gryffindor looks the best. And then can we take a moment to appreciate how beautiful these are? The amount of detail poured into these 4 rooms is absolutely incredible. Okay, so I don't think anyone wants to be here all day. So what I'm going to do is from now on, I'm going to skip to the most important parts, break them down by category, and go in depth to analyze them and break down all the details in those important clips. First things first, life at Hogwarts. Okay, so in this shot, we get a pretty great view of the greenhouses, and I'm going to be 100% honest right now. This is one of the most beautiful environments that I have ever seen in a video game. And we see a bit of how doors will work. And then we get a look at some classes, and can we take a moment to appreciate this voice acting?
Shall we begin? Welcome to year 5 of charms. Now, this will be a crucial year in your education on the art of charm work, but I am confident that we will take hold with the passion and rigor requisite of such a challenge.
The amount of energy and life poured into those lines is incredible. It gives me a lot of hope for these classes. I think they could actually be something really special. And then we got our first look at combat. I'm starting to realize that I'm saying "and then" a lot in this video, but anyway, this combat looks incredible. I was really hoping they didn't have some sort of weird target thing that you're wielding around and it's like some sort of crosshair and you're like shooting it at people. That was going to be annoying, but this looks really good. And then we see Potions class, and then another absolutely gorgeous look at the outside of Hogwarts. We see the Fat Lady, and then we get the most incredible and creative shot in the entire reveal. He says Accio to this frame, and it zooms into the door of the cabin, some steps come out, and then the door opens into an actual 3D space. This is incredible, it's seamless, it's absolutely incredible. And then we get a look at the kitchens under the Great Hall. And we didn't see this in the movie, so this is actually the first time we've actually physically seen it instead of just reading about it in the books. And then we get a look at the prefect's bathroom, which looks incredible. It was confirmed in the PlayStation blog post that was posted after the state of play that we'll actually be able to sneak into here, which is super cool. And then we see nearly headless Nick himself. Aleph were just carrying some sort of food through a graveyard filled with ghosts in the middle of the night. Like, that is the most Wizarding World thing I have ever seen. And then this shot is absolutely hilarious. We see Professor Binns teaching history, and everyone in the class looks so freaking bored. This is hilarious. This is incredible. And then you see us practicing spells, playing some sort of game. In the background, you can see the Groundkeeper's hut, which is really cool to see. And then we see a Quidditch player flying up to camera on a broom in front of the Quidditch stadium. Now, as we didn't see any Quidditch gameplay in this reveal, I'm sadly starting to doubt that we will actually get to play Quidditch. But we may be able to watch it and we will be able to interact with it in some way. And who knows, maybe we'll be able to play it. I'll keep my hopes up until the game releases. A dangerous mystery. Now, this part of the reveal was mostly focused around story stuff, so some really interesting stuff to break down here. So apparently working with this guy right here, Professor Fig, to unravel some sort of dark mystery. Now, that dark mystery seems to start when we research rumors of a mounting goblin rebellion. This guy right here seems to be the leader of the goblins, and his name seems to be Ranarak. And then it goes on to talk about how creatures are being corrupted by some mysterious dark force. And apparently there is a shaky alliance between the Dark Wizards and the goblins led by Ranarak. And I believe the Dark Wizards are led by this guy right here. Next up, spells and combat. First off, we see Professor Fig use Repelio to fix his bridge, and it looks amazing. And then these two, I think, students do the iconic spell clash. And then it talks about how different enemies have different offensive and defensive abilities. And then it talks about how you can master the shield charm, which is something I've really wanted to do because defense is a huge part of wizarding combat. And right here, it shows the player picking up a barrel with their wand and throwing it at an enemy, which looks super cool and fun to do. And then it talks about spell combos and the fact that you can exploit your enemy's weaknesses using different spells. And during my stream, I said that combat looked clunky, but now that I'm looking at it, it actually just looks really fun. I don't know what I was thinking, it's just first impression was that, but now that I'm really looking at it, it looks really, really good. And then it talks about the special, powerful magic that even your professors don't understand. So this is a side effect of that secret power that you have. Next up, talents and abilities. We get our first look at the menu UI and a look at the talent system. The three types of talent upgrades that we see are Room of Requirement, Stealth, and Core. But that is not it. Along the top we can see Character, Inventory, Talents, Collections, Challenges, Map, all the things that we expect in any video game, and then Owl Post. I'm not quite sure what that will be, maybe some sort of ability to send messages to other NPCs or something like that, or maybe it will be somewhere where your teachers will send messages to, I'm not quite sure, and then quests and settings. And then it talks about how you can do challenges throughout the world to collect experience. And then it talks about how you can upgrade your abilities using talents to upgrade your spells and potions. And here we get our first look at stealth. And then he talks about how you can use talents to create your own custom build to focus on the types of magic that you prefer. And he talks about how you can loot, craft, or buy your own magical items. And apparently these items can affect your defensive and offensive capabilities in battle, and you can upgrade these items to give them better stats. Next up, herbology, potions, and beasts. Here we get a look at the mechanics of maybe making potions every time or maybe just in this class. It's a little bit hard to tell, but it still looks pretty cool. And then it talks about how you can progress through your education at Hogwarts and develop your magical skills. And then he talks about how you can make different potions to give you different special abilities. And then he talks about how you can use different plants in combat, including mandrakes. And then he talks about how we're going to learn about different magical beasts in Beast class. And there's an incredible shot of a Graphorn getting scratched by a brush. And then we see our first broom gameplay.
The goal of today is to remind all of you how to maneuver on a broomstick safely.
And then he talks about how learning and mastering brooms is highly recommended so you can travel around the world more quickly. This points toward brooms being the primary mode of transportation in the game. Next up, companions. He mentions that certain spells will be taught to you by fellow students who become your friends. This is a super interesting mechanic, and it confirms that you won't just learn abilities from one place. And then it talks about how as you become friends with different students, they can accompany you on your adventures, and you will slowly learn their story. Both of those features are absolutely great. I'm super excited that they added them. The three characters featured in this reveal are Natsai Adai, I honestly cannot pronounce that, and then Poppy Sweeting, which is like the cutest name ever, like what in the world? And then we have Sebastian Cellier or something like that. I'm not quite sure what the last name is, but yeah, he's a really interesting looking character. I love that he's a Slytherin who is also sort of a good guy. And it seems like we see some of his home life here. This seems to be in some sort of house, not Hogwarts. That seems to be his father or some sort of guardian, and then that might be his sister. It should also be noted that we see Peeves right here, which is absolutely incredible. I'm so glad they took this thing from the book and added it to the game, because we never saw it in the movies, and honestly, I think that was a mistake. I think Peeves is a great character that adds a lot to the charm of Hogwarts. And it does say that you can befriend more characters than just these 3, but it does seem to be more of a focused system where it's more focused on telling the stories of each character instead of more of just like you can befriend anyone you want sort of system. The second to last category is the Room of Requirement, which is actually a much larger part of the game than I originally expected. The Room of Requirement here is almost a home base. You can plant plants, you can brew potions, and you can upgrade your gear. An Irish house elf named Deke helps you set up a part of the Room of Requirement to house magical animals. And you can customize this area to reflect your personality and magical skills. This looks like it's going to be a really interesting, unique part of the game, and something unlike anything we've ever seen in the wizarding world. And the last category is Beyond the Castle Walls. We see some Hippogriff gameplay, and then we see Hogsmeade Station. This borderline confirms that the Hogwarts Express is going to be in the game. Now I wouldn't say this 100% confirms it, but after seeing this, I think personally that it will be there. And then it talks about how you can buy the various magical items that you need from different shops and vendors in Hogsmeade. It talks about how you can get different gear, seeds for plants, and different potion materials and recipes. It then says that there is a dark side to Hogsmeade, and the dark wizards emboldened by the turmoil of the times are gathering on the outskirts of Hogsmeade. Now, this turmoil of the times it's talking about might have something to do with the Goblin Uprising led by Ranorak. It then talks about how the world is ever changing with the day-night system, weather system, and season system. Seasons, guys. Seasons. It then talks about how there's wizarding hamlets spread across the countryside with missions and vendors. And then he says to watch out for puzzles possibly created by Merlin when he was a student at Hogwarts. Guys, Merlin is going to be connected to this story in some way. He then says the various creatures are roaming the lands around Hogwarts. Some are infected by mysterious dark magic, and others are in danger of poachers. He then says that you can rescue various creatures and return them to health in the Room of Requirement. And then we see a Gringotts card ride, which looks absolutely incredible. This looks really great. He then says that vaults and dungeons are dangerous, but can have big rewards. I'm really interested to see how they do dungeons in this game. I wouldn't mind them, it's just I hope there isn't too much just dungeon grinding hour after hour. I think that'd get tedious, but I guess we'll see what they do. And then he says be careful where you explore as it could take you down a dark path, and then this happens. Our character uses the Avada Kedavra curse. Now I did not expect this at all. That went dark really fast. It makes me really want to try a dark wizard build at some point in the game. I'll probably start with a good build, but then I do want to do a dark wizard. I think that'd be really interesting. Now we see that thing from the logo again, and this time they seem to be studying it, and then it sends off some sort of magical shockwave. Now I will say that the magic he uses in the next shot is very similar in color to the shockwave that this item gives off. Now I'm not quite sure what this means, it's just something to note. We get some more beautiful shots of Hogwarts, and then the stream wraps up. Now overall, I think this was a really good stream. It kept my excitement alive by not showing too much, while also showing me what I really wanted to see. Now if you're still watching, thank you so much. This is definitely longer than usual. I just wanted to sit down and talk about this gameplay reveal trailer because I'm super excited about it. Now if you guys want to see more Hogwarts Legacy update and analysis videos, please subscribe. It helped me a lot and I'd really appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next one.